Well, hello, welcome to week 3, Business 501, Organizational Behavior. Again, I'm Dan Collins, your professor for this term. Looking forward to our time together. Let me walk through what our assignments are this week. Again, if you have any questions with the assignments, I am just an email away, or you can call my office phone, leave a message. I am web videoing in from our home office again, where my wife and I both work. When I'm not pastoring, and this is where I also work on my doctoral studies. For those of you who are online students, I relate. I've been doing a program for the last 5 years, and I've yet to set foot on campus. I talk to my other cohort students all online. I talk to my professors online. So if that's your context, I relate, I understand. If you are at NCU, I will be looking to find a time to be on campus. Would love to meet you face to face. That would be my privilege and honor to meet you and say hi, make a personal connection. Well, let's look at this week. So you just finished spring break, and here we are in week number 3. We're going through chapters 4 and 5. We're diving down into the individual constructs of organizational behavior. How do people work themselves? How do they learn? What does it take to do training? What creates job satisfaction within people? What are the attitudes and emotions that are involved in those processes? All these things are things that you as leaders and supervisors, or if you're in a position of a boss, you can use for people, employees, followers that are in your sphere of influence. So these are really good concepts. We're going to have a discussion on gender and organizational behavior. Looking forward to your lead posts and your replies, the discussion threads that go along. I really enjoy those as we learn by talking to one another in an online format. Our case study is actually 2. We'll be looking at Great Bear Wilderness. It's a crash study and looking at what happened and why it happened and how situations like that might be able to be prevented in the future. And then we'll also be looking at the NFL and how the NFL handles some of their intelligence testing, and just an interesting case study. Looking forward to your responses to those questions. And then the assessment for this week is the Hartman's assessment, which is personality and EQ. So go ahead and take that. Again, those are really just free points. You take the assessment, you write a journal post, and you get all free points. So really easy way to keep your grade up and high. As we look at these concepts, this is where we look at what does it take as people are both receiving information and processing it, and as they are acting on that, because it's actually not what people hear. It's how they feel about what they hear, and then it's actually not about what people feel about what they hear, but what they do based on how they feel, based on what they've heard you as a leader say. So those steps are important to think about as you are communicating, as you are looking at learning and training within your job context. Let me finish with an encouragement for you. 2 of the leaders that I respect so much in the Bible were Moses and Joshua. And Moses and Joshua both had a daunting task at hand, and that was how they moved a group of people who were used to being slaves through a process of, first they were traveling through a wilderness, looking at a land that had been promised to them, and then Joshua had the task of taking them into that land. And in that, Joshua had the task of following in Moses' footsteps. Moses had chosen a number of leaders. Joshua was on the inner core of leaders, and he'd spent time under the mentorship of Moses. And it says something very, very interesting at the end of Joshua. It says in chapter 24, verse 31, Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua and all the days of the elders who outlived Joshua and had known all the work that the Lord did for Israel. You know, what an interesting insight that Joshua's leadership legacy and Moses' leadership legacy that went through Joshua wasn't just that they led well, it was that they raised up leaders. They were able to effectively mentor, could say disciple. They were able to train a group of leaders who caught the same vision and passion that they had and had the ability to lead forward even after the death of Moses, even after the death of Joshua. It says, for a full generation after the death of Joshua, the people of Israel continued to follow Lord Yahweh, their God, as they served God in the promised land. What a legacy that is. And you know, that's a legacy that any leader can have as you learn how to train up and build leaders that will go way after your time is done. So I hope that encourages you today. I'll be praying for you as you go through this week 3. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to write. God bless. Have a great week.